Hello everyone and welcome back for the second part of the chapter Federalism. This is a lesson from Civics of class 10. So in the previous video I had finished the two topics. So we will begin with the third and the fourth topic today. The balance of power between the central and the state government varies from one federation to another. Now this balance depends mainly on the context in which the federation was formed. Now when you look at the display, you can see that there are two kinds of routes through which federations have been formed. The first route involves independent states which comes on their own to form a bigger unit by pooling sovereignty or by retaining identity. Now they increase their security by doing this. Now this type of people or this type of federation which comes together is known as coming together federations. Now the countries which include in this federations are the USA, Switzerland and the Australia. Now in this first category, all the constituent states usually have equal power and are strong, just like the federal government. So we had just finished the first federation, that is coming together federation. Now the second route, it is known as the holding together federation. Here what happened is that a large country decides to divide its power between the constituent states and the national government. The examples for this can be the countries like India, Spain and Belgium. Now in this second category, the central government tends to be more powerful than the states. Very often, different constituent units of the federation have unequal powers. Some units are given some extra or special powers. So we had just finished these two topics, or point number 3. For this point or for this topic, you can take down a question. The question is, distinguish between coming together federation and holding together federation. We have noted that most of the federations that are formed by holding together do not give equal power to its constituent units. Thus all states in the Indian Union do not have identical power. Now some states enjoy a special status. Jammu and Kashmir has its own constitution, or we can say Jammu and Kashmir had its own constitution. After the passing of Article 370, this was removed. But before, people used to say that Jammu and Kashmir has its own constitution. Many provisions of the Indian constitutions are not applicable to the states without the approval of the state assembly. Now whatever we follow in our states, you just cannot follow in Jammu and Kashmir. This was the trend before or practice before, but now it's all removed. Now there was a time when Indians are not allowed to buy anything. Permanent Indians who are not permanent, means if you are not from Jammu and Kashmir, you cannot buy anything in Jammu and Kashmir. You can't even buy a land or a house here. So likewise, there are some other units of the Indian Union which enjoy very little power. Now these are areas which are too small to become an independent states, but which could not be merged with any of the existing states. They are either very far away or either clustered in different areas. So this cannot be merged together and given to any state and to form a state. These are the areas like Chandigarh, Lakshadweep, or the capital like city, our capital city, Delhi. Now these are basically called union territories. Now these territories do not have the powers of a state. The central government has special powers in running these areas. So for the topic which we had just finished, you can take down a question. The question is, discuss how the power is divided between the state and the center. Explain with 5 points. After the special features of Indian federalism, our next topic is what makes India a federal country, or you can see in your display it is written India as a federal country. Now to study this, we have to go back to the past. So now when you go back to the past, we can see that the constitution had declared India as a union of states after independence. But it did not use the word federation. The Indian Union is based on the principles of federalism. Now, in order to know whether India is a federal country or not, we have to look back to the 7 features of federalism which we had finished or touched earlier. So now let us consider the main features of federalism in brief. So there are 7 features, and all these features, if these features are present in any country or in the government, that particular country or the government will be known as a federal country or the federal government. So point number 1 is that there should be more than 2 levels of government, and India has got 3 levels. Now each level of the government has its own jurisdiction in matters of legislation, taxation, administration, even though they govern the same citizens. Now power and functions of each tier of the government is specified and guaranteed by the constitution. This was point number 3 or feature number 3. Now feature number 4 is that the Supreme Court has given power to settle disputes between different levels of government. Now point number or feature number 5 is that fundamental provisions of the constitution cannot be altered by any one level of the government. In case if there is a need for change of any law, now both the center and the state will sit together and finalize or will decide whether it has to be removed or what is to be corrected. But unilaterally they can't do it. Now our next point or next feature is that sources of revenue is already been shown by the or been specified by the constitution, like the state government from where they can earn revenue, and the state government will have to earn or will have to generate revenue from that source only. Likewise, the central government was also shown or specified as certain areas for generating the revenue. Besides this, they can't cross or they can't come out, right? And the last feature is that there is a mutual trust and agreement between the government at different levels. So as I said, if all these 7 features exist in any government, that particular government or country will be termed as a federal country or a federal government. So now we had seen that all these features apply to the provisions of the Indian Constitution. Now actually or in generally, the Constitution provided 2-tier system of government for our country, that is the union government or what we call the central government representing Union of India, and the state governments. But later on, a 3rd tier of federalism was also added to our constitution or to our government. These were the panchayats and the municipalities. Now as in any federation, these different tiers enjoy separate jurisdiction. Now the constitution clearly provided a 3-fold distribution of legislative powers between the union government and the state government. So we get 3 different lists. The first list is the union list. This list includes subjects which are of national importance, such as the defense of the country, the foreign affairs, banking, communication and currency. Now all this list or all these subjects are included in this list because we need a uniform policy on these matters throughout the country. So the union government alone can make laws relating to these subjects mentioned in the union list. After the union list, we came across the state list. Now from the name itself we can know that these are the subjects of the state or the local importance, and these subjects are police, trade, commerce, agriculture and irrigation. The state governments alone can make laws relating to the subjects mentioned in the state list. Now there are some subjects which are common in both the state as well as in the union list. So this type of common subjects falls in one list which is known as concurrent list. Now these subjects or the subjects which are kept in this list are education, forest, trade unions, marriage, adoption, and succession. Now, both the union as well as the state can make laws on the subjects mentioned in this list. And when I say this list, means concurrent list. Now, if their laws conflict with each other, or let us say the law which is passed conflict with each other, that means the state doesn't like it, or the central cannot like it, or doesn't like it, then this law can be made, or it can be prevailed, okay, by the union government. So we had seen that all the subjects are divided into three lists, that means union list, state list, and concurrent list. Now when we talk about the last list, that is concurrent list, we came to know that this is a list of common interest. But what about subjects that do not fall in any of these three lists? Now for this type of subjects, one more list is made. Okay, this is known as a residuary list. Under this subjects, or under this list, subjects like computer software that came up after the constitution was made. Now according to this, or according to our constitution, the union government has the power to legislate on these residuary subjects. So with this I conclude today's video. Hope you understood and like it. Please stay connected for the next part of the video. Till then, goodbye, and please do support my channel.